Hi there, I'm Sarah Calling, the Safe Routes to School Program Manager at the Seattle Department of Transportation. And we compiled our annual highlights for the 2025-26 school year, and I'm going to talk through them to open up more access for people with vision needs. You are welcome to jump around these slides to click on what interests you most. So what are we going to cover? First, I'll talk about Safe Routes to School, what it is, why we do it, and how. Second, I'll walk through examples of how we use each of the 7E strategies this year to make it safer and easier for kids to walk and bike to school. And then I'll share an example of all the E's coming together to make a difference. What is Safe Routes to School? It's a partnership between the city and Seattle Public Schools to support students to walk and bike to school with a focus on equity. So why Safe Routes to School? It's important to us to support kids to have the opportunity to walk and bike and scooter and ride the school bus and ride public transit to school as a way to create safer and more welcoming schools, schools with cleaner air, safer streets, provides opportunity for independent youth, and it creates more connected communities. So how do we support kids to walk and bike to school? We use a framework of the 7 E's as a way to holistically support kids to walk and bike. So those E's are equity, environment, education, empowerment, encouragement, engineering, and evaluation. And this document gives examples of each of the 7 E's from this previous school year. So the first E is equity. Equity is foundational to our program. It's infused into each of the other E's. And we do that by prioritizing staff and financial investment at our equity priority schools. We have a few examples of that. Our first one here is at Dunlap Elementary, which is in Rainier Beach. And we have been happy to support their bike bus and their walk routes to school. The next photo shows a decorative crosswalk right outside of Denny International Middle School in Delridge. And this was designed by a student. And just a quick aside, for art in the street, they add to the neighborhood identity, and they also have been proven to slow people driving down. And last two examples, there is a photo here of art in the street that students designed leading up to Dunlap Elementary. That was our Bike to Books project. And this photo shows an event where we did a costume bike ride to celebrate the art. And then we also do in-classroom engagement. So the photo shows students at Mercer Middle School who are using found objects as a way to visualize what the plaza space could look like right outside of their school. The next E is environment. One example is we work with SDOT's urban forestry team to plant trees along walking routes to schools each year. This year we planted about 25 trees near Cleveland High School on Beacon Hill. Photos on this slide show South Lucille Street with a before photo without trees and an after photo with trees. Another environment example is our school streets. School streets are blocks next to schools that are closed to through traffic. And for the first time this past school year, we upgraded temporary school streets to permanent at Genesee Hill Elementary, Emerson Elementary, and Whittier Elementary. And we installed student design art in the street at both Genesee Hill and Emerson last year. So this shows the process of creating the art. The art teacher worked with students at Genesee Hill Elementary to design what the art could look like. And this shows our crews taking that design and installing it in the street. And we have a couple more visuals here. One is of the art getting some attention from the West Seattle blog, and also from a couple students at the school who are pointing at the art and they're excited to see it going in. And here's a neat quote that we have from the principal at Genesee Hill Elementary, Liz Dunn. She said, adding a school street to our campus has not only improved student safety, but also deepened our sense of community and school pride. We also worked with Emerson Elementary students to install art in front of their school. Their mascot are the eagles, and so there are now many colorful eagles in the street outside of their school. All right, our next E is education, and our main education program is we fund the Let's Go program for Seattle Public Schools to get students on bikes during all 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade physical education classes. And the program is expanding to all middle school PE classes too. And so Seattle Public Schools partners with Cascade Bicycle Club and Outdoors for All to deliver the program. And in the last school year, they operated Let's Go in 70 out of the 73 elementary schools, and they reached over 11,000 students. Let's go further. The middle school program expanded from 11 to 15 middle schools and reached over 6,700 students. Both programs combined reach an estimated 17,933 students, and teachers reported 740 students learning to ride a bike this year across both programs. The program includes adaptive bikes for kids with disabilities as well. Another example of education is we continue to provide books to Seattle Public School libraries that celebrate walking, biking, transit, and people of all abilities. And we now have bundles of books at all of our SPS elementary schools. The next E is empowerment. So 2 main ways that we try and empower schools and community groups to run with their own ideas is people can apply for mini grants and request walking and biking packages by completing a simple form online. The packages include supplies for school safety patrol, bike buses, walking school buses, crosswalk flags, walk, bike, and roll to school encouragement, and walk, bike, and roll to school prizes. This past school year, we provided 6 mini grants and 124 packages to 46 different schools. Also, an example of the encouragement E is we fund a position within Seattle Public Schools for a Safe Routes to School program coordinator. Her name is Brooke Nelson, and we get to collaborate with Brooke all the time. So Brooke is really focused on the culture of walking and biking within our schools. In this past year, she helped start some walk and bike buses to school. She did some in-classroom engagement and also partnered with school on walk and bike events. In one of these pictures, it shows Denny Middle School students who led a Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, and they used a mini grant to support that event. Brooke has also started some new initiatives within Seattle Public Schools. One is she's started doing traffic garden celebrations. So when a school has a new traffic garden on their blacktop, she's worked with them to have big school events to celebrate it. And she's also led crossing guard appreciation days. So this photo shows some mini flag cards that students made to show appreciation for their crossing guards. She's been supporting middle school and high school students to champion safe routes to school efforts at school, specifically at Meany Middle School, Denny Middle School, and Lincoln High School. And she procured about $30,000 in grant funding to deepen our impact at 4 equity schools. So overall, we co-hosted an event with 8 new priority schools and deepened support for 7 existing priority schools. Okay, the next E is engineering. So this is about the infrastructure to make it easier for kids to walk and bike. So we have our first category of infrastructure changes is around traffic calming, making it so that people drive slower, particularly along our routes to school. So the first photo is at near Chief Sealth High School and Denny Middle School on South Trenton Street. And the photo shows both lane narrowing and also speed cushions. The next is at Olympic View Elementary, where we installed speed cushions and always stops. The next is a map of improvements next to Kimball Elementary, where we surrounded the school with speed cushions and always stops. Next is at Highland Park Elementary on 16th Ave Southwest. We slowed people down with speed cushions and lane narrowing. At Gatewood Elementary, we installed speed cushions, including one on California, and always stops. At Ingram High School, we installed school zone flashing beacons to complement a larger Vision Zero project happening on North 130th Street. And at Lake Ridge Elementary, we installed speed cushions and an always stop. Okay, here are always stops that we installed next to our schools. We have a photo of an always stop at Orca K8, and that project included speed humps as well. We installed an always stop at Beacon Hill International Elementary, West Woodland Elementary, Schmitz Park SPS interim site, James Baldwin Elementary, and Pacific Crest School. Curb ramps. We were able to partner with the ADA team at SDOT to build concrete curb ramps at Franklin High School and at Co Elementary and Pathfinder K8. We had some intersection daylighting projects this year. So intersection daylighting is where we pull parking back from a crossing so that the people crossing are easier to see. So at View Ridge Elementary, we have a before photo showing cars parked very close and even on the crosswalk. And then we have an after photo that shows hatch marks and posts that delineate where people are not supposed to park. We have a similar example at BF Day Elementary on Fremont Ave. And next we have crossing improvements. So leading up to Sandpoint Elementary from Magnuson Park, we installed a RFB, which is a push button flashing beacon to get across the arterial. We also installed a short walkway and speed cushions to make that route more comfortable. Another example of crossing improvements, we installed curb ramps and curb bulbs at Concord Elementary. And curb bulbs are a nice way to narrow the street and make that crossing shorter. Okay, the last E is evaluation. So each year we partner with Seattle Public Schools on a travel tally to learn how K-5 students are getting to school. In June of 2025, 50 out of the 73 elementary schools participated. And we found that 30% of students were walking, biking, or scootering to school. So that includes 46% arriving by car, 25% walking, 19% riding the school bus, 4% carpooling, 4% biking, 1% on transit, and 1% scootering. So that adds up to about half of K-5 students who are walking, biking, scootering, or busing to school. And we're seeing more and more students walking, biking, and rolling to school over time. Since we started collecting this data, we were at about 15%, and now we're up at 30%. We're also getting better and better at tracking this data. So the travel tally started in 2005, and since 2023, which is after we started to have a Safe Routes to School coordinator embedded in the school district, that we've had much more consistent tallying of students walking and biking to school. And so our data is much more reliable. So we analyzed for trends across our equity priority schools. Seattle Public Schools ranks their schools into equity priority tiers based on many demographics, such as race, free and reduced lunch, and number of English language learners. And we found that on average over the last 3 years, we see higher walking, biking, rolling rates in our standard priority schools rather than our equity priority schools. So our equity priority schools had a 8% lower walking, biking, rolling rate than the rest of the schools. So we have more work to do to provide more students with the opportunity to walk, bike, and roll to school. And we are seeing some big strides at some of our equity priority schools. Here's an example at Concord International School in South Park, which saw a 16% increase in walking, biking, and rolling to school, which is one of the highest increases across the district. It's our 7th highest. And Concord now has walking, biking, and rolling surpassing the rate of car travel, not including carpools. So one thing that we could point to that this could have to do with is their PE teacher partners with Bike Works to give away bikes to kids. So all these coming together, we do find can make a difference. Here are our numbers at Dunlap Elementary, which is in Rainier Beach. And we've supported them to start a bike bus and a walk group to get to school. We've worked to partner with other organizations to try and get free bikes to kids. Their PE teacher is very consistent about the Let's Go program, teaching kids how to ride a bike to school. And they have a nice, healthy street route that prioritizes walking and biking, leading right up to their school. And so all of those E's coming together, it could be that it's really making a difference. Back in 2005, when we first started collecting data, they had about 26% of their kids walking, biking, and now they're up to about 37% of their kids walking, biking, rolling to school. This shows a video of their walk group and their bike group. It even includes a unicyclist. And at the end of the bike group is their school principal. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and we hope that Safe Routes to School can continue this type of work in the future to achieve this vision to have clean air, safe streets, independent youth, and connected communities. Here is the contact info for each person on the Safe Routes to School team in Seattle. I'm Sarah Calling. My email is sara.colling@seattle.gov. Diane Walsh is at diane.walsh@seattle.gov. Sam Brooks is at sam.brooks@seattle.gov. And Brooke Nelson at Seattle Public Schools is at brnelson1@seattleschools.org. This last appendix page shows the travel tally by school. So we have individual data for each school that completed the tally across the whole school district. And we are happy to share this data individually with anyone who has trouble accessing this graph visually. So please contact any of us to get this information. Thank you.